We've got a great show for you this weekend, including and a look at an amazing, which should be a long shot unless she manages to. This week on Click, we're straddling the line between fact and fiction. We'll go behind the scenes of a new style documentary that catches the whole conversation between its stars, even when it happens on their phones. How about these for stimulating simulators? We'll get hands-on with some pretty niche reality games. Connecting like never before, we take a look at the latest version of the famous motion capture kit that puts your body in control. And what's the point of racing the fastest man in the world? Well, you are going to lose, but now you can find out by how much. Welcome to Click. I'm Spencer Kelly. The makers of TV documentaries always try and capture real life on camera. People behaving naturally, having honest conversations and showing their true emotions. But even though these people have agreed to be filmed, it can actually be quite difficult to act naturally when you got this motley crew in the same room as you. You want to give us a wave? Now, in order not to intrude, over the years we've used longer lenses, remote microphones, video diaries, we've even built whole houses full of cameras. But the thing is, these days, the conversations we're trying to capture don't just take place face to face. Younger people especially are texting, they're tweeting, WhatsApping each other. And if documentary makers can't document that, they're missing half the story. This is Channel 4's Secret Life of Students, which charts the lives of 12 students over the first tumultuous term at Leicester University. Alongside the visual action, we get to see their digital conversations with friends and family, something that's billed as giving us an instant insight into what's going on beneath their fingertips and in their heads.
It really opened my eyes to what a different generation they are. The quantity, for starters, you know, we had 200,000 bits of content. They were able to say something, you know, on a text message to their boyfriend, their friend, their mum, their dad, that maybe they wouldn't say in real life. It was just something that was pretty standard for that kind of generation.
Production company Raw TV devised a system called the Digital Rig, or D-Rig, which enabled them to tap into the students' message streams in near real time. They loaned the students iPhones running special software which captured incoming and outgoing text messages, along with those from Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, Instagram, and even web searches, and sent them to a central D-Rig viewer back in Raw's office.
It's always a surprise. It's like when Facebook first came about, you know, that idea that you were being let into other people's lives that, you know, you might not have actually spent a lot of time talking to or getting to know, but on Facebook they were being very honest and very open and not worrying what they were necessarily saying, but it's, you know, not monitoring themselves the whole time.
This is the first time digital communications have been monitored and used in a documentary in this way, so making sure everything was above board, legally and morally, was a big priority.
There was a long consenting process, far longer than you would normally with a normal documentary, because it had this added layer of us being able to keep their messages and being able to go back to them and using them in the edit. We couldn't keep any of that information though, unless we had the consent of the people they were communicating with.
Voice calls were also recorded on the phones, although again only from phone numbers that had previously consented to being recorded. The software on the phones ensured that calls to and from numbers not on the safe list were never recorded in the first place. Consented communications were stored in the D-Rig throughout the course of the filming, just in case the team needed to go back and find something that only became relevant later on. This immediate insight into the minds of students meant that the filming team on the ground knew exactly what questions to ask. Mads was one of the students featured in the series.
Obviously there are certain people who I text who I don't want other people to read their text or that kind of stuff. But as you get into like week 3 or something, you're like, I do know that they can actually see all these messages, and it gets a bit awkward, especially when you know that the camera people have seen or heard about what you've been texting. They might not be the people reading all of them, but they kind of vaguely heard. So they're going to ask you questions about this and that and stuff. If I told any of my friends at home or whatever, they'd be like, why would you ever want to see anyone to see your text? I'm like, well, I don't know, it's a new experience.
Raw's next project with the D-Rig delves even deeper into the digital generation, focusing on the lives of school-aged teenagers. It's early days for this technology, but as this generation of hyper-connected teens become adults, it could become a necessity for every documentary to capture communications in this way in order to tell the whole story. I wonder whether you think it's possible to document reality without tapping into the online side these days. Why not let us know online, of course. Click at bbc.co.uk, at BBC Click on Twitter. We'll take another look at how tech is reflecting reality next, after a look at this week's tech news.
A leaked online document suggests UK intelligence agency GCHQ altered internet polls, looked at private Facebook photos and sent fake emails which appeared to come from BlackBerry users. The document is alleged to have been leaked by former US cyber spook Edward Snowden. GCHQ said it didn't comment on intelligence matters. Google is partnering with pharmaceutical company Novartis to develop its smart contact lenses for diabetics. The lens prototype measures glucose from tear fluid in the eye and sends readings wirelessly to the user's mobile. It could make a huge difference for the many diabetics who currently get glucose readings from blood tests. Google's assembled a team of hackers to spot critical bugs and vulnerabilities on the internet. The group says it will make public a database of bugs and fixes. The team's employed one of the world's most notorious hackers, George Hotz, as an intern. George faced legal action for hacking the PlayStation 3 and iPhone. And finally, Germany's come up with a possible solution to stop cyber spying. A return to the trusty typewriter. In a TV interview, the head of a parliamentary inquiry into NSA spying in Germany said it's no joke that they're considering the old technology. But it might not catch on. One politician said she would rather abolish the secret services than return to typewriters.
The Commonwealth Games start in Scotland this Wednesday, and this time around it's not just the athletes who are going for glory. This time the spectators can compete too, against the world's fastest man, Usain Bolt. Virtually, of course. Inside this warehouse in the south of England, technicians and engineers are testing out their new 16-metre long widescreen display. This giant LED screen shows a slightly oversized Usain Bolt running at his fastest recorded speed. That's 27.44 miles an hour. Here, the virtual track is less than half the length it will be when fully assembled in Glasgow, a monstrous 40 metres. There, visitors will be invited to race Bolt over the course of the Commonwealth Games. To get here has been no easy win. Sensor and camera positioning is vital for this to work. And because the timing of the video footage has to reflect precisely the actual speed of the real Bolt within the physical TV screen, size really is everything.
The ratio of the screen is what makes it complex. Normally you would expect a screen to be maybe 16:9 ratio, 4:3 ratio, the kind of standard screen you'd expect to see at an outdoor event. What makes this interesting is that where it's a running race, it's an extremely long and narrow screen. So actually getting the footage to work on that is one of the challenges.
Yes, it's a gimmick and a chance for the sponsor to acquire online information from its visitors so it can, well, stay in touch with them on social networks, if you catch my drift. For the technicians, though, it's enabled them to provide a new experience that goes like lightning, even if you don't. Now, if all that running about sounds a bit too much like hard work, take a look at this. This is one of the first games that we've seen that uses the new version of Microsoft's motion sensor, the Kinect 2, on something other than an Xbox. There's the Kinect, whoops, at the top of the screen there, and behind all this gubbins is a PC running Windows 8.1. Now we're at Disney's HQ in London because Disney is one of the first companies to be experimenting with the Kinect 2, in this case to promote its new animation. Hence I'm currently pretending to be a plane and dumping water on these wildfires. It goes on sale for anyone to tinker with and use with all sorts of different kit like PCs and robots this week. The original Kinect has been used for all kinds of stuff, from helping surgeons to offering new artworks in galleries like those we saw a few weeks ago. It's tracking 25 joints in my body as opposed to 20 in the previous model, and it can keep track of up to 6 people at a time, 4 more than before. That's partly because the new Kinect has a wider field of vision, hence both myself and Dan can stand next to each other, arms outstretched, and play the game, and the thing copes quite adequately. It can also recognise smaller objects than the original Kinect, and it allows you to stand closer to it, which is handy if you're short of space in your living room. Disney previously had a bit of a job making this sort of active promotional stand work in cinemas or shopping centres when smaller children tried to play. That's because the original Kinect wasn't always sensitive enough to pick up the movements of small people. Now there are other gesture recognition systems around, Leap Motion and Depth Sense for example, but it's the Kinect that's been most used and adapted by developers. It's a fraction more expensive than the other systems, mind you, so we'll have to see whether its dominance continues in years to come. Now, flight simulators have been around for decades, as have racing simulators, for example. But it turns out these days you can simulate almost anything, including what it's like to be a goat. Yep, this is a tongue-in-cheek third-person adventure, or maybe that should be third goat adventure, where a goat can explore a town, engaging in goat-friendly activities such as enjoying a fairground and riding bikes. Now, Goat Simulator was born out of programmers having a bit of a joke, but a whole subgenre of slightly more serious sims are played by thousands of gamers every day. Mark Chislak has taken a trip to the countryside to find out a bit more.
See you on the other side.
Video games are simple. They're all about blowing stuff up. Racing at high speeds. Platforming or puzzle solving, ploughing fields and cultivating crops. Hang on a minute. Simulation titles have been big since the very dawn of video games, and now a seemingly sedate subgenre which allows players to take to the open road in trucks or enjoy the pastoral pursuits of the farmyard has become increasingly popular in recent years. Get behind the wheel of a tractor, or a truck, or under the bonnet of a car. Cut down trees and deliver the wood to a logging company, or engage in the thrills and spills of collecting and delivering packages in a warehouse. This is a small sample of the kinds of simulation games which are challenging perceived preconceptions about suitable subject matter for video games. Players like Dale and Ross both live and work in the Cornish countryside.
But I don't get to spend so much time outside doing it in real life, so unless I got a sort of phone call from someone I worked for in the past for like a weekend or a day job, that's the only real time I can actually go outside and actually do it in real life, so that's why I usually spend time like the weekends, days off or in the evenings just playing farm sim.
It's different for them up in the like towns and all that because they don't see what we see. We see what we see in real life, but they see big fields, you know, not very fast. I love the game, to be honest. It cheers you up, really. If you come home and had a horrible day at work with the rain and at least you can go on there and drive a tractor all nice and dry, like.
I do find it weird sometimes because when you think about it, you spend all day doing it and you come home and do it again. It doesn't sound right, but I can't sit there and play other games like Call of Duty. Well, I can, but I can't sit there for as long as I play Farm Sim. I could play Farm Sim all day, I have done before.
And their simulated activities aren't just restricted to pastoral pursuits. These guys also enjoy clocking up miles on a microprocessed motorway.
I love playing games that are realistic. Euro Truck is a fantastic game as well. It's so realistic. When it rains, it's brilliant.
As the name suggests, Euro Truck Simulator allows the player to haul cargo across long distances, delivering loads to destinations across Europe. It seems that a lot of the appeal of these games is their absolute adherence to realism. Just as much care and attention to detail goes into the development of these titles, which are mainly about heavy machinery, as goes into any AAA blockbuster which is primarily concerned with heavy firepower. Giant Software are the developers behind Farm Simulator. They're based here in Zurich in Switzerland. The team here study farming reference manuals, utilising laser scans of equipment as well as recording authentic audio of the kit at work. These programmers and artists think they understand the key to the success of these sedate simulators.
Maybe it's because of the current world is so fast and everything with technology and everything changes so fast, and maybe it's sort of like the game gives you the possibility to get out of the stress you have on a daily basis and go into the game and relax there.
But the appeal of these games goes way beyond sowing seeds and hauling goods. Players have the ability to modify elements of the game, changing or improving parts of the vehicles or equipment used.
Oh, the modding makes a hell of a lot of difference. I mean, I don't think you get as many players as you do without the modding. Everybody's got all their own tractors, they make them, they edit them. Everybody has fun doing it. If you just had to stick to the original tractors, I don't reckon there would be as many players as there is.
Perhaps these games aren't for everybody, but with thriving online communities and relaxing, stress-free gameplay, these almost serene simulations aren't quite as niche as they might first appear.
Mark Chislak. And once you've finished practicing operating heavy machinery using your simulator, it's time to get your hands on the real thing. Although even then, you don't have to touch the real controls. Here's LJ Rich.
Okay, this is where reality and virtual reality mix. We've got an Oculus Rift device, and using this and a remote controller here through a computer, I'm controlling that digger. Now, although this looks like lots of fun, and to be honest, it really is a lot of fun. This is a proof of concept here at Ericsson Research. The idea behind it is if you have a fast enough network, then you'll be able to control things at a distance with very little time lag. The video feed comes from this 360-degree camera. It's mounted on an iPhone. That video's sent to the goggles. The rest of the system works like a remote control. Although none of the tech here is new, the way it's been mashed up highlights a major problem for controlling heavy machinery. Sending high-resolution video means sending a lot of data, which takes time. And if someone steps in front of the equipment and you don't know about it, well, that could be a problem. Which is why latency, that lag, needs to be minimised.
Right now we're working a lot more about the immersiveness and the responsiveness. Are there things in the machines? Are there things in the environment? Are there other machines that can help you out? Could it be sensors instead of just only have like one massive amount of video going on? What about audio, 3D audio and so forth? Those kind of things, we're trying to investigate them together with other groups in order to see how can you find the immersiveness.
This demo makes it clear the importance of being virtually inside the machinery you're operating from a distance. And if the reactions of technology can match those of a human inside, then this vision takes a major step closer to reality.
LJ Rich, half human, half machine, which would explain a lot, come to think of it. Anyway, time to take a little holiday from all this controlling stuff now and join Kate Russell, who's been taking a look at how technology can help us to do just that, take a holiday. Here comes Webscape.
End of the spring and here she comes.
One of our favourite things to do on holiday can also be the biggest health risk, sunbathing. Netatmo has come up with a high-tech solution with the launch of June, a nicely designed wearable sensor that monitors your exposure and sends you reminders via an app about using UV sunscreen and putting on a hat and sunglasses. The device costs £69 and can be worn as a brooch or on a leather wristband. Right now, the app is only available on iOS, but the makers do plan to expand to Android soon. For some, a holiday is a chance to do some extreme sport and get off the beaten track. If that sounds like you, use Token to notify a friend who will be alerted that there may be a problem if you don't arrive back safely, even if your phone is dead. The app is iOS only right now, with an Android version in the pipeline. In the event that you do have to seek emergency assistance, there are apps that offer quick access to all the essential numbers without needing an internet connection. On Android, download TravelSafe. The emergency numbers are free, but if you want to unlock the embassy numbers, you'll have to upgrade to the paid version. For iOS users, there is Emergency Call Anywhere free, with the paid version too for getting rid of the adverts. Airlines across the world handle around 2.7 million pieces of checked baggage a day, and it's inevitable that some get misdirected. If this happens to you, report the loss to airport staff and hope it doesn't take too long for your bag to catch up with you. You can check its progress at mylostbag.com, which links to many of the world's airline computer systems to trace where your bag ended up.
Guess there's no use in hanging around.
If there is a problem with your flight, you could be eligible for compensation, especially in the EU, where this is backed up by law. Refund.me has been set up to make it easy for you to understand your rights and claim anything you're due for things like flight delays, missed connections, diversions and cancellations of flights, bus, ship and rail. Filing a claim is free, but there will be a percentage fee to pay if you're successful.
Can't get used to losing you no matter what I try to do. Gonna live my whole life through loving you.
And an interesting new launch for the UK. With flooding continuing to be a problem for much of the country, GaugeMap shows live data from over 2,400 river level gauges across England and Wales.
Rolling, rolling, rolling on a river.
As well as the map, they've given each of the Environment Agency's river level gauges its own Twitter account. So, to see the latest status of a stretch of river near you, all you need to do is follow it on Twitter.
Thank you, Kate. Now, we've seen quite a few simulators today, and just before we go, I thought I'd show you one more simulation. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to drive a Formula One car down the Mall and round Buckingham Palace? And more specifically, have you wondered how noisy that would be? No? Why ever not? Right, pay attention. Here's an aerial view of the royal premises. The car's at the top of the picture and it's off. Anything green is still relatively quiet, with louder noise turning the ambience yellow, then red, then a deafening pink.
Once we decided where we wanted to do it and to use a Formula One car, we then had to study a lot of videos of Formula One cars going along similar length straights and round similar corners on real circuits and work out how fast they were going, how quickly they were accelerating and braking.
Why? Well, to show off his noise propagation software, of course. You can certainly see how the buildings baffle that noise, throwing out these sound shadows before the car finally coasts round the corner and into the Queen's back garden, probably making a heck of a mess of the lawn in the process. And that really is it from us. For more Click, check out our website, bbc.co.uk/click, or our Twitter account at bbcclick. But from an unusually warm London, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.